Good morning. Happy Saturday. Welcome back to the Daily Grind. I'm your host, Chump Changes, live recorded, and I'm testing out a new setup again. So I'm just kind of messing around with things. I apologize if we have any hiccups before we start. All right, let's get into this. So we're going to be talking about the Bitcoin, Ethereum, ETF stuff. That's obviously going to be a huge catalyst for Bitcoin and Ethereum pumping in 2024, right? So we're going to be going over a bunch of news articles with that. Going to watch my man Crypto Zombie has a video that dropped. I actually didn't have a chance to watch it, so I want to see what he has to say about it. And then obviously the most insane price prediction, Ethereum to $25,000, Mr. Altcoin Daily is claiming, or somebody in his video is. So I want to go and check that out. But before we get into this, let's see what you guys are up to in the chat. Real quick, I saw Son of a Rabbit Panda said half the weekend is almost gone. It's Saturday at like 8 in the morning. What is happening? What time zone are you in? What do you mean it's half gone? It just started. Come on, man. Come on. Good to see you, buddy. Welcome to the channel. All right, we have Chance Claus. Good to see you. Andrew Masad. Chris Hanley. Good morning. Steven Cicero. Let's see who else is here. Let's see. Let me scroll through this. Kyle Rosa. Leo Lustig, my man. Appreciate you, buddy. We have Jason Hamilton. Good to see you. Oh yeah, there's some SRB news actually too. SRB miner, what the hell was going on with that? I saw pandas don't mine Dynex anymore, but it was just because SRB miner is like completely stealing from miners. Is that what was going on? I caught like the tailwind of that. I didn't have a chance to dive into it, but I know Serpent and Yeti did a video on it that I started watching last night. I just didn't have a chance to, but you guys should check that out too. If you guys are using SRB miner, there's some pretty shady shit going on. Influx Mining, good morning. Dakota Miner, Crypto KJ56, my man, all set. Good to see you guys. All right, let's get into this. Again, I'm going to be messing around with my stream deck, and I hope everything cooperates today. All right, let's go over this. We have Bitcoin looking at 37,225. We have Ethereum over $2,000, 2,062, and it's down 1.15%, which is crazy. Solana, look at Solana. Freaking blasting off almost $60. That is crazy. Dogecoin over 8 cents. That's wild. Why is that pumping actually? Does anybody know? Let me know in the chat. Shiba's actually deep green as well, 11.49%. Jeez. Let's see. Caspa is down a little bit, but it's still just under 9 cents. That is more than acceptable for me. FTT, this this token that has had a 36% pump because of that BS news yesterday where Gary Gensler said they can reopen as long as they follow guidelines. Oh my God, it is ridiculous. And Crow's at 10 cents. What? When did that happen? That's the crypto.com token. When the hell did that happen? I don't remember it being up that much yesterday. Jeez. All right, let's check out Crypto Bubbles over here. This is the top 100 coins. As you guys know, let's see what the biggest earner is on the week. FTT token up 272, 272%. Damn. That's crazy. Caspa still up 62% on the week. We have Crow up 62.5% on the week as well. Man, it's pretty much matched Caspa. Interesting. That's very interesting, actually. Solana up 40.3%. Jeez. Crazy. All right, biggest earner of the day is Tia. What is Tia? Tia. Celestia? I don't even know how you say that, but 51.7%. Let me know if you guys are into that. Rank 91. Crow, again, today up 26.2%. Luna, Terra Luna Classic, whatever. This is 15.9%. FTT, 32.5%. Man, these coins are crazy. All right, let's try not to blind you guys. I apologize for this, but we have Fear and Greed Index at 70. Had to blow it up nice and big for you. So when it gets to like 80, that's when you usually start getting, somewhat fearful, right? Be fearful when people are greedy and be greedy when people are fearful. Mr. Warren Buffett always says that. All right, top 10 coins by coin market cap. Over here on CoinGecko, we have Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, BNB, XRP, Solana, USDC, Lido Staked, Ether, Cardano, and Dogecoin in 10th place. Let's check out Litecoin is in 16th. We have Bitcoin Cash is in 21st, and Shiba is in 17th. Speaking of Litecoin and Dogecoin today, we do have the, what's it called? Locotech. I have a live dev meeting this afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so it's like 5-6 hours from now. So if you guys would join, that would be great. I would love to get your questions in there. Please feel free to just throw them in the chat right now if you guys would like. And yeah, you can rewatch it after the fact if you don't have a chance to watch it live. All right, let's switch back here. Let's go over to the mining stuff. So now we're going to get into what's the most profitable miner of the day. Obviously, it's going to be a Caspa miner. Last couple weeks, you guys know, or the last couple of months actually, Caspa has just been top of the charts when it comes to crypto mining. We have $209 a day with the Win Miner K9. Now, I don't even know if any of these things have actually shipped out yet. Does anybody have one of these in hand? Probably not, right? Probably not. I don't know. I'd be very interested to know if this is legit. I mean, I assume it is, but it's crazy how they go from like the KS3 to like a K9, right? It jumped a 1 terahash just about on the actual unit. It dropped the power about 200 watts. It's just crazy how efficient it can get and how much hash rate it actually has. And I'm just wondering, like, what's the next step? Are they going to just blow this thing up and double the hash rate next? Or are they just going to continue to milk this as long as they can and, you know, just try to make as much money as possible? I assume that's going to be the take on it, but it is what it is. Let's see. Crypto KJ. Oh, nice. All right. He said hobbyist is getting one. I'm not sure if he was joking. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? We'll see. KS3, we have 9.4 terahash from Bitmain, $190 a day. Crazy. I mean, these best prices, I've come to realize that these are probably not correct. If I had to guess, they're probably not correct. You can see 17941, 914 rather. We have 19115 for the Bitmain Antminer there. It is, yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those things. You can't really trust these prices, but regardless, the prices are still pretty high. I think the Ice River KS1, that price rose, did it not? Wasn't that under $2,000 if I'm not mistaken? That's making $19.67 a day. The KS2 is making $39.35. The KS3 from Ice River itself is making $161.23. All right, let's check out the other. Let's see, the Jazzminer X16Q. As you guys know, I'm using that to heat my house right now. $4.96 a day if you're mining ETH, F, and ZIL. We have the, let's see, Ice River KS0 Pro. Looks like it is $3.98 a day. Now, I think they removed selling the original Ice River KS0. If I'm not mistaken, it's now just the Pro. So I am getting one of these things, and I checked UPS. It said it was supposed to be coming today. I don't know if it's actually going to happen. I don't believe it, to be honest, but I'm going to rip them apart. I'm going to check out both of them. I want to see what's inside of these units. I have to. But anyways, all right, let's check out the regular KS0. We have $1.96 a day on this one. So, I mean, overall, Casper miners are pretty much owning the charts. I mean, you can't really beat 70 watts or whatever it is, 65 watts for the $2 a day. I mean, I wouldn't spend too much money on it, but whatever. And you can see like the $478 right here on this unit. That's not how much it is. It's like, actually, it might be around that, but for the Pro now. They don't sell the regular KS0, I guess. Anyways, all right, guys, let's get into this. So I want to talk about some other stuff. We're going to get into news and all that. Let's check out Mr. Anthony Pompliano. He was over on Fox Business talking to this lady that absolutely adores him. She gets soaked every time she talks to him. It's a riot, but Bitcoin will fly in 2024. I want to hear what he has to say, guys. That like button. Appreciate you for hanging out. Let's do it.
The world's largest asset manager is doubling down on crypto. Filings now show BlackRock is taking its first steps to launch a spot Ethereum ETF. According to Delaware's Division of Corporations website, the firm has submitted an iShares Ethereum trust for regulatory approval. So let's look at Ethereum. So yesterday, the token you can see right here spiked. It is up over 10% since just 2 days ago. Bitcoin also got a boost on the Ethereum news because BlackRock obviously is very powerful. It is also one of the 12 applicants waiting on the SEC to approve a spot Bitcoin ETF. Here in a Fox Business exclusive is Pomp Investments investor Anthony Pompliano, who also served as a sergeant in the U.S. Army Infantry. Thank you every day for your service, Pomp. But Ethereum, and here comes Larry Fink, the iShares team, and BlackRock saying, all right, as we wait for the Bitcoin spot ETF to be approved, we're going in on Ether. What did you think of that news?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. When you're contrarian, in order to get financial returns, the contrarian bet has to become a consensus bet. And that's what we're watching play out right here, is for years, we have seen investors, mainly retail, go and bet on assets that were outside of the legacy financial system. Now, all of a sudden, we're seeing BlackRock and many other large financial organizations say, we don't want to be left behind. We want to play this game as well. Mm-hmm. And so as they show up and they start to incorporate these assets into their funds and other types of investment offerings, you're going to see that contrarian bet become consensus, capital will flow in, and prices will go up.
Do you think there's enough interest in Ether, per se?
I think that people are drastically underestimating how big the entire crypto market is going to get. Bitcoin will remain the king of that market, but many of these assets are going to get much, much bigger and will be measured, I believe, in tens of trillions of dollars across the entire crypto market.
The SEC has been immovable so far on approving a spot Bitcoin ETF. And there are, as we said, a bunch of names circling and waiting. Do you sit there and parse and think to yourself, who might get the first approval? Because on the screen, you see Fidelity, Wisdom Tree, ARK, Bitwise, not just BlackRock, Grayscale.
Listen, if they don't approve like all of these at the same time, whoever gets it, which is probably going to be BlackRock, like if they picked anybody to get it first, probably be BlackRock, right? I mean, that would be my opinion, but whoever gets it first, if one person does get it first, that would be just an absolute, like, everybody else would be just a drop in the bucket and they would have the entire bucket. Do you know what I mean? Like, there is no chance for any of these companies to even like survive with this ETF thing if one company comes out first. This is my opinion. And real quick, Influx Mining in the chat said, watch them do a Doge ETF next. I really hope not.
Van Eck, etc. And I want to see your face when you answer this question. Who is going to get the nod first?
I don't lay awake at night thinking about that. All 12 of them definitely do, because there's billions of dollars in assets at stake here. What I think that we should do is we should approve all of them at the exact same time. We don't need regulators playing, kind of kingmaker, right? This is not the UK where we're knighting people and saying you're the winner or you're the winner. Let the free market decide it. Approve all of them, and the market will decide where those assets will flow.
Really,
and that seems the fairest way.
Gary Gensler and the SEC would just say, okay, all 12 of you. Go for it.
I think that it's actually a pretty interesting way to absolve them of having to make the decision. And if you just let the market go ahead and do it, then now all of a sudden it's a fair game. Whoever ends up being the winner, you can just point and say the market decided this is where the assets wanted to flow. And so it just resolves a lot of potential problems that could be on their hands.
I feel like it's going to be ARK and Cathie Wood. I don't know why. And I only say that because I don't know if Gary Gensler wants to say, here, Larry Fink, and why not? BlackRock is great at what it does, but it just feels like DC is nervous about that type of stuff.
Listen, you think that BlackRock and friggin' this lady, is she for real? There's no way. Like, I'm sorry, but BlackRock controls like so much of just everything when it comes to finances. Why would she not think that they're kind of in bed with everybody else, even the SEC included? Like, there's no way they're just gonna like be like, oh no, BlackRock, we don't like you. Like, you know how much money they probably give each other? It's just whatever.
Let's talk about Bitcoin. The price of it pops every time there is news of that possibility. We're now at above 37,000. I think at last check we were 37,209. It's rallied up 125% this year. Now JP Morgan analysts say it's overdone. But of course, they're talking their boss's game. Jamie Dimon has never liked crypto.
My guess is that a lot of these people are looking at the short-term volatility, right? I love the volatility. I want more volatility. And the reason is because volatility over a long period of time actually leads to outsized returns. If you want asymmetry, which has largely been kind of orbed out of the market in most other assets, there's no volatility in these other assets. There's no outperformance in these other assets. Bitcoin allows for investors to allocate capital to an investment that they can audit at any time, that they can put billions of dollars into, and it can drive asymmetric returns. And that's what we've seen. This thing has compounded at tens of % a year for over a decade. Right now, in the last 3 months, 88% of all Bitcoin in circulation has not moved. In the last year, more than 70% of Bitcoin has not moved. They're going to approve this ETF. We're going to return to loose monetary policy. We're going to get the halving next year, and this thing is going to fly just like it did back in 2021.
Great to see you, Pomp. Thank you so much, Anthony Pompliano. And Pomp isn't just a warrior in the crypto trenches. As we said, he served as a sergeant in the U.S. Army Infantry. Oh, look at that. Where was that picture taken?
That is in Taji, Iraq.
Wow. Thank you.
Pomp
Thank
is
you
a badass.
all of
Shout
what
out to
you
Anthony
and
Pomp. He's got his own channel. Again, huge shout out to him and Fox Business for that video. All right. Panel spot Bitcoin only weeks away now. This video was actually 4 days ago, but I wanted to watch it with you guys because I think it's still obviously relevant at this point. So let's do it.
Even in the wake of the Sam Bankman-Fried trial last week, the crypto bulls still on parade, with the price of Bitcoin topping 35,000 once again after the SEC decided not to appeal the court ruling on Grayscale's proposal to convert its Bitcoin trust to an ETF. The markets appear to have fully embraced the idea that a spot Bitcoin ETF is just around the corner. So good news for the bulls there. Todd, what's your sense of the timeline here? How soon do you expect to get this long-awaited Bitcoin ETF? There are at least a dozen proposals in front of the SEC right now. Is the most likely scenario a broad swath of approvals all at once, or do you think there'll be a little bit more piecemeal about it?
So we at VettaFi are expecting that when we are running the exchange conference in February 2024, a few months away, we are going to have a number of products that will already be trading that are spot Bitcoin ETF focused. We think that the SEC is going to follow what it did with the futures-based Ethereum ETFs that came to market, where ProShares and Bitwise and VanEck, among others, all launched products that came to market at the same time. This is, of course, different than what we saw with ProShares BITO, which came to market just over 2 years ago. And we're seeing strong interest in that. And what we're finding is that investors are interested in a spot Bitcoin ETF. They're going to have diversification benefits of that within a broader portfolio. It's just a matter of months, probably, before we see the first of those ETFs trading.
So the finish line is near. John, Global X is one of those applicants filing for a spot Bitcoin ETF. The SEC has managed to postpone a decision up until now, but can you tell us how you see the crypto ecosystem shaping up? Are you expecting approval here?
Sure, I concur with Todd. I think at least by the end of the year, beginning into 2024, we will likely see numerous Bitcoin spot ETFs on the market. I think that will help institutionalize the overall market, and that's why I believe you are seeing an uptick in price in Bitcoin as well as Ethereum, because Ethereum will certainly follow not too long after Bitcoin. I think it's a positive for the market, and in light of recent actions in the crypto space. So we look forward to that.
And Dave, I'm assuming you're on the same bandwagon here as you filed an application for the Roundhill Bitcoin Covered Call Strategy ETF. So how do you think about the environment for crypto ETFs, and how does yours differ from some of the other ones that are seeking approval?
Yeah, I think we're starting to see the time is coming. The marketplace is ready. Folks, investors are getting educated on crypto and the opportunity that an ETF can bring to the space. What we filed for is a bit different. It actually combines, it's similar to a covered call strategy on Bitcoin as an asset. And again, I think what we're starting to see is that it's not just opportunities for ETFs when it comes to equities, bonds, commodities. We're now seeing the structure be able to apply in a multitude of different ways, whether that's options income, whether it's in the crypto space. So I think, again, as I said, the time is here. There's going to be more opportunities for investors. They are going to need to do their homework, as noted from my colleagues here at ETF Edge today. There's going to be likely more than one, but investors can be prepared, and there's going to be choice for them, which is always a good thing.
And we can help them a little bit with their homework now, because speaking of covered calls ETFs, Todd, this has been a strategy that's gained a lot of traction this year in particular. Can you help explain how it works and unpack the recent surge in popularity?
Yeah, so we've seen covered call ETFs that provide, in most cases, equity exposure to the broader markets, and then they use calls to be able to, they sell calls to be able to provide some income, and that provides some downside protection. So the JP Morgan Equity Premium Income, JEPI, is the most popular of the actively managed ETFs in general, and it has seen strong demand. We've seen strong interest from Global X suite of products that John talked about, QYLD and XYLD. We've seen new firms enter the marketplace. Goldman Sachs launched a product earlier, about a month ago, and then Morgan Stanley launched an ETF, PAPI, just a few weeks ago. And we were talking about those two ETFs at the VettaFi Income Strategy Symposium. We're seeing really strong advisor interest in these ETFs, and I think heading into 2024, it's only going to increase.
Yeah, just it's a strategy, it sounds like, for an uncertain future where you don't know what the downside could look like.
Yeah, I mean, geez, that's so loud. Anyways, yeah, it's so Kazuma in the chat is saying, let's see, but the true plan, the ETF, is to keep stocks and crypto in link. And I mean, yeah, so it's good and bad, right? It's going to get, I guess, institutional adoption, right, to come forth and put money, or just institutional money, into crypto, which is a good thing, right, overall. But at the same time, people don't understand that, like, what BlackRock's doing and what these big companies are doing, they are actually just they're going to control all the Bitcoin, and you're just owning a little piece of paper that says you own this much of it, right? You don't actually own the asset. So that's the thing that people aren't really aware of, and it's kind of a shame, but is what it is. All right, let's check out this little article here over at Cointelegraph. BlackRock spot Ethereum ETF plan is confirmed after NASDAQ filing. Earlier in the day, BlackRock registered its iShares Ethereum Trust in Delaware. The first hint that a filing for a spot Ethereum ETF was imminent. Now, this was on the 9th, 2 days ago, right? And we talked about this yesterday in the stream. Delaware apparently doesn't have certain taxes where I guess these companies benefit filing in those states. And I don't fully understand, like, do they have to have like a hub in Delaware to be able to file in that type of state? It's just kind of crazy. I don't know. It's kind of crazy. BlackRock's plan for a spot Ethereum ETF, right, exchange traded fund, have now been confirmed per a 19B4 form filing submitted to the United States Securities and Exchange Commission on November 9th. NASDAQ filed the 19B-4 form with the securities regulator on behalf of the $9 trillion asset management firm for a proposed ETF called the iShares Ethereum Trust. The move signals BlackRock's intention to expand beyond Bitcoin with its ETF aspirations. Now, someone in the chat was saying something about the Dogecoin, a Dogecoin ETF. I would be utterly shocked if they actually did come out with something along those lines. Obviously, you know, Bitcoin, Ethereum, the top two, I guess those are kind of like a given when it comes to people getting into crypto and like some sort of adoption. I would assume those two would be the first two. And I honestly, I don't assume that anything else under it would go into something like this. I would be more shocked that they didn't create their own stable coin and, you know, just some sort of government-backed stable coin. Like that's what I would assume would happen after this type of stuff with just Bitcoin and Ethereum. But that's just my opinion. Again, everything's registered here. You can see the S1 form. If you guys are interested, I put the link to this little article in the description below. All right, let's see. Bitcoin, Ethereum see gains after BlackRock files for Ethereum-based ETF. This was 21 hours ago over on CNBC television. Let's do it.
Bitcoin continues its strong campaign in 23. The cryptocurrency touching some 18-month highs. Our Dom Chu's tracking that action. Morning, Dom.
All right, Carl. So cryptocurrencies have had a banner week, as you point out here. Prices for the two biggest ones out there, we're talking Bitcoin and Ethereum, up massively just over the course of the last week. And Ethereum right now is catching this kind of big bid over the last couple of days, as you can see here, as we get word that the world's biggest asset manager, that is BlackRock, filed to list an ETF backed by spot Ethereum on the NASDAQ exchange at some point. That's stoking some more optimism that markets could see greater access and perhaps institutional liquidity brought on by an exchange-traded product on a regulated exchange. Now, Ether prices did get over $2,000 per token with that latest move. We're currently $2,088 and change. Now, these are levels that we haven't seen since April. And just for reference, if you go all the way back to that April high here, that was roughly just around 2,124. So that's an idea.
Oh, wow. So we're pushing the April high. That's pretty interesting. I didn't look at the chart yet. And also, don't forget that Altcoin Daily does have a video stating that Ethereum could go to 25K, which is quite shocking, and I can't wait to watch that, actually.
Yeah, for reference, where we've seen this year. We've also seen that big rise, as Carl points out, in Bitcoin prices over the last couple of weeks, and that was due again in part to just this idea of optimism about a potential regulated exchange-traded product tied to spot Bitcoin at the offing sometime in the not-too-distant future. Again, BlackRock is a name being floated around as the potential home for one of those potential first Bitcoin exchange-traded funds brought to market. Now, as
like I said, I think they're going to approve them all at the same time. I don't think it'll be one over the other in any form or fashion, to be honest.
As a result here, we are seeing some of the companies tied to crypto, Coinbase, Robinhood. You can see here some upside here as well on the day so far, 2.5% gains there. Also, MicroStrategy holds Bitcoin as an asset. The Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, popular vehicle by which some investors gain access to crypto. It's been seen rising. It's up about 1% today so far. So just keep an eye on what's happening overall, David. Cryptocurrencies, yes, they're still around. And for some reason, there is a lot of optimism being brought upon by this idea of exchange-traded funds being part of the picture going forward. I'll send things back.
For some reason, listen to this guy. Get out of here. You're fired. All right, Crypto World, CNBC television. Ethereum rises nearly 4% after BlackRock files to launch a spot Ethereum ETF. And then, obviously, CNBC Crypto World is the channel. So, guys, go check them out. Actually, I didn't hit the like button. Hit the like button if you don't mind. Appreciate you for hanging out. Let's do it.
Today, Bitcoin and Ether cap off a week of rallies stemming from ETF hype. Celsius gets the nod to exit bankruptcy and repay customers. And 1 week after SBF's guilty verdict, Cboe Digital's Catherine Kirkpatrick lays out what she thinks U.S. lawmakers should now prioritize as it pertains to crypto. Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Tanea McKeel. The top cryptocurrencies built on yesterday's gains today to cap the week, with Bitcoin adding 3% to trade at about $37,400 and Ether advancing almost 4%. Earlier this morning, Ether broke the $2,100 level for the first time since April, helping it notch a roughly 15% weekly gain for its fourth up week in a row and best week since March. Bitcoin ended the week up 8% for its fourth consecutive week of gains and ninth winning week in the last 10. The altcoins were perhaps the most notable gainers for the week. Solana up 32% for the week, along with Polygon with a 25% gain and Cardano at 15%. The alts were already
I still can't believe Solana is almost $60. It's absolutely absurd.
Catch up with the bigger coins earlier in the week after Ether crossed the 1900 mark over last weekend. Now, typically after a Bitcoin rally, you see Ether's price action follow shortly after, and then the rest of the market catches up. And that's a pattern that has repeated with the recent spike in positive sentiment in this market. Now, the jury's out on how far current sentiment takes us. JP Morgan just had a note out this week arguing that this rally is likely overdone, that the expected approval of a Bitcoin ETF is largely priced in, and won't ensure that regulators take their foot off the brakes on crypto.
What do you guys think about it being priced in? Do you think the price of the ETF is priced into Bitcoin as of right now? Like, if it got approved tomorrow, we're not going to see a giant spike in price? Let me know what you guys think about that in the chat.
Okay, let's talk about the top stories. It is official, BlackRock is looking to launch a spot Ether ETF. On Thursday, the Nasdaq filed on behalf of the asset manager to launch the iShares Ethereum Trust. This latest move from BlackRock also follows the recent launch of Ethereum futures ETFs, which hit Wall Street about a month ago. Interest in those funds has been muted, and of course, BlackRock is also in the running to launch the first spot Bitcoin ETF here in the U.S. The SEC still has until January to decide on multiple proposals currently awaiting approval. Next, Celsius just scored approval for its plan to exit bankruptcy. The bankruptcy judge overseeing the case gave the nod to the restructuring plan, which would let Fahrenheit LLC reorganize the business with more focus on Bitcoin mining. The plan, which was approved by
Wasn't Celsius like a giant rug? Wait, what?
Creditors back in September, could see as much of 85% of holdings returned to customers. Celsius filed for bankruptcy last summer in the midst of the crypto meltdown. Its former CEO, Alex Mashinsky, faces charges of securities fraud, wire fraud, and commodities fraud. That trial date is set for September of next year. Finally, crypto exchange...
That's messed up. That's messed up. Real quick, so I was asking you guys about the, do you think it's priced in the Bitcoin ETF situation, right, with the price of Bitcoin? So actually, Chris Hanley brought up a good point. I wanted to show this real quick on the screen. So if you guys don't know, Bitcoin issued, there's already 93% of Bitcoin mined overall, right? Now, obviously, the more that's mined, the less to go around, right? Most people already have a shit ton of it. All the whales already exist. Stuff hasn't moved in who knows how long. It's absurd. But look at this. This is also something we found out on yesterday's channel. I knew there was a schedule like this, if I could get this to lock in. But I didn't realize how many halvings we've seen versus how many there actually are for Bitcoin. We've only seen three halvings, or sorry, four, right? No, it started here. So we've seen three, right? Now, 2024 is the next one. We're going down to 3.125 Bitcoin. There's like 30 halvings or something on this list. That's crazy. Look at how low these halving schedules get. It's like these next two, 2024 and 2028 are the real significant ones, at least in my opinion, when it comes to, at least still having an entire Bitcoin for a block, right? When we get to this point, man, Bitcoin is going to just completely soar. That's at least in my opinion. I don't know. This whole thing kind of blew my mind when I actually saw this entire schedule. I was like, damn, we've only seen 3 out of these 30 halvings that we should be having here. It's crazy. Anyways, I don't know. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Poloniex just suffered a multi-million-dollar hack. Right around 6 o'clock Eastern this morning, the exchange said on X that it had disabled its wallet for maintenance. Then Justin Sun, a backer of Poloniex, sent out his own post saying they were investigating a hack incident. Sun said the exchange maintains a healthy financial position and will fully reimburse affected funds. Blockchain data firm PeckShield estimated the hack to be around $125 million across Ether, Bitcoin, and Tron tokens. All right, for our main story, it's been about 1 week since Sam Bankman-Fried was found guilty. Cboe Digital's Catherine Kirkpatrick argues that crypto regulation here in the U.S. is crucial following that verdict. So Crypto World's Talia Kaplan spoke with her about why she thinks that's the case.
You argue that crypto regulation is key, especially following Sam Bankman-Fried's guilty verdict. Why do you think regulation is so important, especially now? What did the SBF trial and all the information that came to the surface signal to people about crypto?
Well, I think the key is if you have centralized entities, there's no assurances of transparency unless they're regulated. And to be specific, I'm talking about centralized financial services entities. What we saw with FTX and through the events of 2022 were a lot of crypto centralized entities that were mimicking TradFi entities, but kind of pretending to be decentralized or pretending to be something different because it was crypto. But if crypto is mimicking traditional market structure, it should be regulated as traditional market structure. I, like many other lawyers in this space, we want legislation, we want rules, we want an infrastructure so we can build on that. And we're not going to achieve the kind of scale that really has the true promise for crypto until we have a clear, comprehensive set of guidelines and accordingly appropriate regulation, particularly for retail investors who need that degree of transparency and that degree of assurances that the entity is self-policing itself and held accountable.
So what do you think lawmakers here in the U.S. should prioritize in terms of crypto regulation, especially following that guilty verdict?
Well, I think the guilty verdict is great because I see it as cathartic. I see it as a point in time. Justice has been served. Let's all move on. Let's all move forward. Look, Sam Bankman-Fried committed large-scale fraud wrapped up in crypto. There are going to be wrongdoers in every industry, in every asset class. It's never going to change. We saw major carnage with banking years and years ago, and those banks were heavily regulated. I've engaged in a lot of debates and productive discussions as to what could have been done differently with FTX, but it's most important now we reflect on this and we move forward. I think everyone has learned a lot of lessons from FTX in that really important, deep diligence needs to be done, questions need to be asked, red flags can't be ignored. We are all hyper conscious of regulatory priorities. Cboe Digital really prides itself on being a kind of a trusted, safe market option for institutional investors. So, we really value our relationship with regulators. It's clear to me that there's going to be a continued trend in enforcement in things like financial intermediaries, decentralized finance, whereas other areas like crypto infrastructure may be less of a focus because we're talking about risk to investors. So I think it's important to focus on that. And it's important from the crypto side of things. And I see this as an absolute priority to engage on a policy level to make sure that the rules being put into place make sense for crypto. The definitions aren't overly broad or overly narrow. It's incredibly difficult to put crypto into a bucket when you have crypto assets and trading, NFTs, central bank digital currencies, blockchain technology as a whole. You can't really put that all under one umbrella and one succinct law. So you have to carve it the right way and think through it carefully and strategically. And I mean that from the legislative perspective, the regulatory perspective, and the market participant perspective.
And I think that's why the the chair actually got mad at Gary Gensler, right? Because he's trying to put all these cryptos in one bucket and just kind of finding all these exchanges and all this shit when you can't really put everything in one bucket because there's only, there's always going to be some bad actor when it comes to, or a bad apple when it comes to a group of anything. But to put them all categorizing in the same, shitty category, I guess, or treating them all the same, it's really, it's like a gray area. It's really hard to do so,
So you note that unregulated centralized crypto must self-police and that the necessary trust for that type of engagement was eroded in 2022. Of course, the collapse of FTX 1 year ago certainly resulted in a lack of trust in the industry. So What do you think it will take for the crypto industry to regain some of that trust that was lost?
It's a great question. And one of the important distinctions to be made here is I'm talking centralized entities. I love the promise of decentralization where there's that degree of radical transparency. But where there's a centralized entity and where there's a flow of funds that the investors or strategic partners can't see where those funds are going, there's going to be questions, particularly given what happened with FTX. So an entity needs to be held accountable. It needs to hold itself accountable. And if it's regulated, it is accountable to its regulators. You know, behind the curtain, there are audits, there is scrutiny, there are questions being asked all the time, and you need to have the appropriate answers. So I think the industry needs to kind of view what it needs to take to get to the next level. You know, all 2022 was a process of maturation. It was a process of growth for a nascent industry. But one of the things that keeps me here and a lot of the other people in crypto or interested in crypto is the depth and breadth of talent and, you know, the technology, both the disruptive technology, but the technology that offers efficiencies and things like access to alpha for the average retail investors. That's all very exciting. We just need to keep sight of the basic risk, compliance, and legal parameters that need to be put in place to avoid any existential risk for the industry, like what we saw in 2022.
So what would you tell those people who argue that regulation stifles innovation and could therefore prevent crypto from reaching its full potential?
I think it's absolutely a balance, and it's a really difficult balance because I sincerely believe in the original tenets of crypto. For example, access to the underbanked is a great example. If you impose the kind of manual, know your client, anti-money laundering requirements that exist with banks today, you are defeating some of those original purist tenets. But there's a fine line. It's absolutely unacceptable for a centralized entity where there's a flow of funds to be ignoring the possibility of dirty money flowing through the protocol. So there's going to need to be made compromises throughout this process. I love to see the tech-oriented solutions that are being developed to grapple with these kind of issues because there are efficiencies to be had, not only to be applied to crypto, but to be applied to TradFi. And I'm not going to pretend that there isn't a massive burden to regulation and compliance. You know, Cboe Digital definitely invests in that, and it takes an investment, both headcount, standing up the original infrastructure. It's very difficult for startup entities to do that. That being said, there needs to be a compromise. You know, both sides of the fence need to move towards each other and find something that's workable without stifling innovation and growth of this ecosystem in the United States.
Now, we have seen some regulatory developments here in the U.S. since the collapse of FTX. Senator Elizabeth Warren's crypto money laundering bill has been gaining more support on Capitol Hill recently.
She sucks, for the record. She sucks.
And over the summer, U.S. lawmakers advanced the Fit for the 21st Century Act to establish a crypto framework. But do you think those bills will actually get passed? And were those developments enough? Do you think more needs to be done to send a signal to Americans that what happened with FTX will not be tolerated here in the U.S.?
I actually think it might be the opposite. You know, I knew that there was going to be an extremely punitive reaction to the events of 2022. And to some degree, that's appropriate. You know, legislators and regulators need to appropriately penalize the wrongdoers that perpetrated the events of 2022, that enacted carnage on the broader crypto ecosystem. But that being said, all of the good actors in crypto that are spending all day, every day trying to do the right thing, investing in legal and compliance in an environment that it's not always easy to assess, you know, the parameters, those entities shouldn't necessarily be penalized for the events of 2022. I would love to say, oh, I predict that we'll see market structure legislation in the next 6 months. I am not optimistic about that. I think there's a much better chance of a stablecoin bill being passed, but even that's potentially in question. I think the sooner we get any sort of crypto legislation, whether it's comprehensive market structure legislation, the better, if it's the right piece of legislation.
Patrick also provided her outlook for crypto in 2024. You can catch her full interview over at cnbc.com/cryptoworld.
Shout out to CNBC Crypto World. All right, real quick. So Cedric in the chat actually asked, he said, what is the Bitcoin ETF, or what is an ETF in general? And Can you explain it? Like, is it good for miners? So right here, right, I just kind of typed in what is an ETF so we can actually read the definition, right? Exchange traded funds, or ETFs, are similar to mutual funds in that they invest in a basket of securities such as stocks, bonds, or other asset classes. So this is probably the most important part, right? But unlike mutual funds and similar to a stock, ETFs can be traded whenever the markets are open. So they're more or less what's happening is they're just with this, right? This is going to give big money investors the confidence to put money into crypto, right? Because there's a big entity holding said money and it can't just get rugged, right? So that's like one obviously huge thing that big guys are going to be looking at. Two, they're trying to regulate when and how you can trade crypto. So overall, this is not good for miners, right? I would say people don't understand the whole thing behind ETFs. Like, yes, it's cool. Yes, it's going to get institutional money in and it's going to bring mass adoption overall. I think so anyways, in my opinion. But in general, like, people aren't going to be, again, owning their Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever ETF they come out with. You're not going to be actually owning this cryptocurrency. You're going to be owning a share of this company, and this company is going to own all of the crypto. So when it comes to mining and all that stuff, this is probably not the greatest thing, but for price discovery, it is a good thing, right? Now, the reason I say it's not very good for mining is BlackRock, it's already been out there and put forth that they have invested in 4 out of the 5 top mining facilities in the country. So I forget what it is. It's like it was TeraWulf. Man, I forget. What are the top 5? Let me look. Top 5 mining facilities. Let me see real quick. I think it's in the USA, right? So it is. Let me see. I know it was TeraWulf. I know Hut 8 was one of them, but they didn't invest into Hut 8. Let me see. You know, it's gonna take me a minute to find this list. I can look it up after, but regardless, I mean, they invested into 4 out of the 5 top mining facilities, which I wouldn't be shocked if they didn't take them over or buy them out so they could just take over the facility, because obviously mining right now it's only paying off if you have a stupid low electric rate, and that's pretty much known all around the country. I mean, everybody's electric bill sucks. You guys know that. Over in the EU, it's even worse than here, but mine's actually going up 5 cents, and there's literally nothing I can do about it. So I'm going to be literally paying 30 cents per kilowatt hour, and it's terrible. So it's like it shuts me down mining as a whole at this, place. I'm just thinking about investing into a shit ton of solar, but at the same time, it's super hard because I don't have a good place to put it all. So they're going to be controlling everything with this whole ETF thing. Don't think they're not. So if you're into mining, if you can hold your own crypto, that is 100% the best way to go about it. I wouldn't go and invest into these ETFs, but the people that do invest in the ETFs is going to push price discovery. So it's a double-edged sword. It really is. That's really the best way I can explain it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. All right, I want to see this most insane Ethereum price prediction, Ethereum to 25,000. I would be absolutely stunned and very excited because I would totally be able to pay off my house. But let's see how true this is and what Mr. Austin over at Altcoin Daily has to say. Let's do it.
And Ethereum right now is catching this kind of big bid over the last couple of days.
Sorry. Quick question in the chat. Dakota Miner, I didn't see that. He said, so ETFs are bought with crypto or fiat? Fiat. You're going to be purchasing with US dollar into their ETF, right? So they're going to be taking your dollars and they're going to be holding your crypto. So you do the math. That's how it's going to go. Okay, let's continue.
Ethereum right now is catching this kind of big bid over the last couple of days, as you can see here.
The cryptocurrency market continues to rally, in large part due to the update from the original story which we brought you yesterday.
BlackRock is attempting to launch a spot Ethereum ETF. This is the exact filing.
Ethereum's price about to explode. BlackRock is in.
As we get word that the world's biggest asset manager, that is BlackRock, filed to list an ETF backed by spot Ethereum on the NASDAQ exchange at some point. That's stoking some more optimism that markets could see greater access and perhaps institutional liquidity.
The rumor happened, and the update today is BlackRock Ethereum ETF confirmed. They just submitted a 19B-4 filing with NASDAQ. meaning the largest asset manager in the world is backing Ethereum.
These are levels that we haven't seen since April. And just for reference, if you kind of go all the way back to that April high here, that was roughly just around 2,124.
And even though, yes, technically, there are 5 other live spot ETH filings that I'm aware of, meaning Van Eck, ARK Invest, Invesco, Galaxy, and Grayscale, crypto expert Scott Melker explains just how big this BlackRock filing is.
Listen, we've already had Ethereum spot ETF applications filed, but it's different when it's BlackRock for a few reasons.
And that's true. That's what I was wondering too. I'm like, we've heard about this before. Why is it such a big deal now? But it's a big deal because it's BlackRock, and BlackRock freaking owns everything. That's just how it is.
Number one is that Larry Fink has been on a roadshow talking about crypto as a flight to quality, and the Bitcoin maximalists screamed and yelled that he was only saying crypto because he legally couldn't say Bitcoin. The SEC would come down on him if he was talking his own book. That's completely dispelled. We now know the truth, which is that Larry Fink is in fact bullish on all crypto. And when he says crypto is a flight to quality, he means it. If you were paying attention before, you already knew that, because in his annual investor letter last March, he wrote extensively on the tokenization of assets, on these other crypto assets beyond just the Bitcoin spot ETF that they had filed for. So when it comes from BlackRock, you can say that Larry Fink is one of the top 5 probably most powerful people literally on the entire planet. People joke that there's 4 branches of the government: the executive, judicial, legislative, and BlackRock. I would say that there's just BlackRock, and maybe the other 3 are subsidiaries, right? I don't think people understand just how impactful BlackRock is and just how powerful.
The full conversation.
Again, so right here, this is what I was just talking about, right? I looked it up. BlackRock invested in these companies. So BlackRock's vast financial resources allow the company to help comparatively smaller mining companies. Its most recent investments were spread across Riot Platforms, Inc., Marathon Digital Holdings, Cypher Mining, Inc., and TerraWolf, Inc. 4 out of the top 5 mining facilities, if I'm not mistaken, in the U.S. I don't know if they're not in the U.S. or not, to be honest, but the top 5 mining facilities, whatever. They invested about $411 million. So again, it's not going to be a great thing that they're going to control the mining facilities, which is, printing virgin Bitcoin basically, and also owning all of your money because, they hold the ETF. But again, it does help institutional, money come in, but the big picture, it's not really that great for miners.
Conversation has not been released yet. It drops Sunday. Have bell notifications turned on. You do not want to miss this. But understand how bullish this is for Ethereum. And Ethereum and crypto are only getting bigger.
BlackRock, they're the kings of indexing, right? I mean, that's literally what they do. They create ETFs, they create indexes. Would you be surprised if we get a Bitcoin spot ETF, 6 months to a year later, you get an Ethereum spot ETF, then you get a top 10 crypto index ETF. And then one day when we're in a bull market, you get a DeFi.
Ooh, a top 10 crypto index ETF. That would be very interesting, actually.
ETF. I'm not saying these things will happen, but if BlackRock's making money, they're going to continue filing for these products, and so will everybody else.
Again, you gotta see.
That was very true. If they continue to make money, they're going to continue to put out these ETFs. And you know what? Actually, somebody that mentioned the Dogecoin thing earlier, if they came up with a Dogecoin ETF, you know what? Honestly, it wouldn't shock me. Now, actually, just listening to that, if they're going to make money on it, why wouldn't they? If it's allowed and they can make money, of course they're going to do it.
The full conversation, the interview drops Sunday, have bell notifications on, and at this same time, just announced, Roblox is exploring adding NFTs to their game.
And we would imagine someday that those would go off platform as an NFT, possibly get sold off platform.
The gaming platform currently has over 214 million monthly active users. And just listen to the updated vision of Roblox and how similar, how easy an integration into the metaverse, into Web3 gaming will be.
Yeah, the vision is what we're doing at Roblox is really the future, a new form of communication and a way for people to come together when they can't be in person, not just communication, but connecting and doing things even at a distance. So we have people doing everything on Roblox, from, of course, playing to learning. In our office, we simulate our office.
And why does Roblox...
That guy kind of looks like a Roblox. That's crazy. Roblox is really getting into like this NFT stuff. Crazy.
Value in potentially adding NFTs?
I know we've talked about this before, but Do you ever see a moment where the platform itself becomes more open in the idea that, your currency is something called Robux, and whether those Robux could be used off platform, whether we've talked about NFTs and things that could live inside Roblox, but then get moved onto somebody else's platform or, in other ways?
Yeah, I want to highlight there's a bit of a dream here about objects and NFTs moving from platform to platform. We do believe someday, for example, I use the fun use case that someday Elton John may come on Roblox and make 8 or 10 1-unit really cool capes, for example, and sell them for charity. And we would imagine someday that those would go off platform as an NFT, possibly get sold off platform, and then come back on platform. What we do expect is the creators, whether it's Elton John or Nike or someone else making a digital item, that they would play a key role and have a fair amount of control in that process.
And many of
real quick, looking at Roblox, so it's at $39, $39.39 a share right now. Is that a good buy? What do you guys think about that? If they get into this whole NFT stuff, I mean, I feel like I'm the only one that's not delusional on these NFTs. Is it? Am I wrong? Like, is it just me? It's so bullshit. Like, I feel like they just want to take all your money. I just feel like NFTs are a scam in like every form or fashion. Until they come out with medical records and titles to houses and cars and things like that. Okay, that makes sense. But I don't know. It blows my mind. These whole NFT things. But hey, if it's going to surge the price in Roblox, that might be a good one to jump in on before the stock jumps up.
Play a key role and have a fair amount of control in that process.
And many of you were asking me for an update on XRP. If you have a different altcoin that you want me to cover, comment down below. And while we know that Ripple just won a major case against the SEC, that XRP is not a security when sold.
You know what? Lazarus just made a good point. He said, Roblox is free to play. I wouldn't buy a free game for $40. It's a good point.
On retail markets. But what's the next steps?
Their approach of regulation through enforcement, let's just bring lawsuits, that has to break.
So walk me through. That's what I was talking about earlier. Regulation through enforcement, where they were just putting all crypto in like the same bucket and just fining everybody. When you can't really do that because every crypto is different. It's weird.
The next steps in this case. Today was the deadline for the briefing schedule for remedies. The SEC wants something like $770 million in disgorgement.
Yeah. What
happens next?
Well, I in a session that I did in Washington yesterday, I made the joke around, I'd like to see the Vegas odds on, what could be what's called the remedies from the case. Look, I think the SEC, in my opinion, has lost sight of their mission to protect investors. And the question is, who are they protecting in this journey? And it turns out that the judge will make a decision about remedies. We actually welcome that. I think that in this case, you look at what investors were harmed, and you also have to look at the securities laws and understand, are there exemptions for institutional and accredited investors and things like that. But look, I think it is a positive step for the industry, not just for Ripple, not just for Chris and Brad, but for the whole industry, that the SEC has been put in check in the United States. And I'm hopeful this will be kind of a thawing of the permafrost in the United States.
And the regulatory environment in the U.S. for crypto into 2024 is looking brighter. The U.S. House has passed an amendment limiting the SEC's authority to carry out enforcement actions against Bitcoin and crypto companies.
Oh, wow, that's actually a big deal. Real quick, Patrick Murphy said, the Roblox I buy for my son and what I hear about his friends getting, yeah, they're making some money. DJ Mine says Roblox makes a lot of money, loads of skins. It's free, but kids love their upgrades. My kid asks for Roblox money every holiday. And dude, honestly, it's kind of crazy. You know what? I was just thinking about it. So the way that, us as adults who play Call of Duty and stuff, right? We buy those package upgrades for like new guns and all that stuff. It's kind of similar. It's like the same thing, but it's kind of involving a kid's game, which is like the new generation of people that are going to be running this stuff eventually when we're all gone. it's getting them into the crypto, NFT space super early, which is kind of weird, neat to think about. I wonder how crazy that will actually get,
Inflation by enforcement is a practice all too common with this administration. This is particularly the case at the SEC and Chair Gary Gensler's approach towards our capital markets and financial services industry, but especially with our emerging digital assets community. My amendment seeks to put an end to Chair Gensler's pattern of regulatory abuse, a pattern that is crushing American innovation and capital formation without undermining our ability to go after criminals and fraudsters. Specifically, my amendment prohibits the SEC from using funds for enforcement activities related to digital asset transactions until Congress passes legislation that gives the SEC jurisdiction over this asset class.
And now,
holy shit, I love Tom Emmer, dude. He's awesome. That's great.
That this is passed in the House, will this pass in the Senate? Make sure you subscribe. We drop a video every single day, keeping you informed. Let's say top of next cycle, Bitcoin hits over $120,000. That would be outrageously great. Some people say more, some people say less, but your best projections, where does Ethereum hit top of next cycle?
Oh, man. That's a tough one.
Just for fun, fun. Nobody knows.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing that makes you look dumber than trying to take out your broken crystal ball and making predictions, especially when they're time-based, right? So
for sure,
I try to avoid it, but I will say that I thought it was going there last cycle. So that should tell you my credibility. I, like many people, thought, hey, we broke 65, Bitcoin's at 69. It just made a new high. It's going to take the elevator straight up to 100, right? It obviously didn't. So, and I thought Ethereum was going to 10, right? So I think that if Bitcoin goes into 120, 130, I would expect that we could see Ethereum, at 10,000, something like that. But it would not surprise me to see it much higher. It's like now I want to give a conservative estimate so I don't look dumb. So I'm just going to say 10 instead of 25, which is dancing around in my brain. But I don't know that it gets to something like 25 in this cycle. But I am, I'm very bullish on the next cycle. I think that humans are going to human. They're going to pump these things.
Humans
are
going
to, speculate and get excited, and it's going to happen all over again.
Shout out to Altcoin Daily for that. That's awesome. I mean, it's awesome. I hope Ethereum hits 5 figures. I don't know about you guys. I know a lot of you guys are very bitter about Ethereum as a whole, but let's be real. It couldn't be mineable forever. Their whole plan was to go proof of stake from the beginning. So that's, we just kind of got to live with it. All right, so let me see. Do you guys have any questions in the chat? This is the final segment of the day where we just kind of wrap things up and talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. So today, later on, about what is it, 5 hours from now or so, 6 hours, I'm going to be doing a Locotech live stream with Ben and one of the other guys. I honestly forget his name, but the devs of Locotech themselves. So I know there's a lot of people that are like, super, it's a scam, it's a rug, blah blah blah. Like, come in and ask questions. That's why I asked him to come on, and I wanted to do it live. I wanted him to get all of your questions for all of you guys to just have answers and feel better about it. So whatever, either way, I don't care about, like, I'm not part of the company, I'm not paid by the company. I just want to get all the information out there so we know what's legit, what's not, because the things that they have coming up, I don't know if you guys saw it, actually. There was let me see real quick, let me try to pull it up. There was a new thing they posted on Twitter. Let me see. It was like their like a server case kind of with like 10 hash blades in it, which was kind of insane. And I thought it looked pretty cool. Where the hell is it? How do I get it? Pre-order. Let me make sure nothing's on here. This thing, look at this thing. So this is the thing that I was kind of stunned about. Let me see. This is gonna switch. There we go. All right, so this right here, as you can see, 10 stack of hash blades, the S1, a full house. This is kind of cool, right? It says let me see. So the hash blades support 230 volts and 110 volts. All right, so 3300 watts. Oh, 3300 watt power supply, actually. That's what it says. But realistically, it says the hash rate is estimated to be 1997 gigahashes. That's crazy. Plus or minus 10%, and 1750 for watts at the wall. So this is one thing I want to talk about a little bit when they come on, because that's freaking nuts. It's absolutely nuts. But if you see, like, this is the hash blade that they're trying to come out with that everybody's like nervous about. Where are we going? God damn it. Of course, there we go. All right. So this is the Hashblade, 1.9968 gigahashes at 145 watts. Pretty crazy. I hope this thing comes to fruition. I don't know if it's going to be this small. This is kind of like a rendering, but I don't know. You guys let me know what you think about it. I think it's pretty sweet. I hope it's legit. And I mean, the single individual chip on that individual tile worked as expected. So I can't really say too much about that, but it yeah, I mean, the hash rate I know was like a concern of some people, like how did they do the math? How did this come to, you know, how does that equal out? So we're going to be asking that as well. 20K. Yeah, dude, it's crazy, but like it's a lot of money, right? So you got to think the wattage is like stupid low and the hash rate itself is stupid high. So my L7, it's a 9050, so 9 gigahashes, right? Now those little individual blades get 2 per blade. There's 10 blades in that thing, which is just about 20. So it's Litecoin and Doge, the script miner. So again, I don't recommend pre-ordering anything until they have at least a prototype that's actually working and fully functional. That's when you could say, okay, this thing's legit. Do you know what I mean? Not saying these guys aren't legit, but I just would like to see a full working prototype, not something that's, you know, this is a rendering and it's going to be this, but okay, it's nice to know and it's nice to hear their plans, but I would still like to know. You know what I mean? Let's see. Not one LTC. That's sus. What's that mean? What does that mean? They haven't even mined one LTC according to their pool. Oh, so their pool, actually, you know what? That's funny. We asked that. We asked them why their pool's not public. So it's only for them, and they've only been testing their little one single chips on it. So that was one of our questions. Why don't you come public with the pool? And they said, to be honest, he said the pool's not profitable unless it's hitting blocks, and it's going to be very hard for people to just jump from where they're mining at right now over to this brand new pool that doesn't make any sense for people to jump over to it. So I mean, that was a perfectly good explanation for me when they said that. So Ice River all over again. Bye Matthew says. And that's, you know what, so that's another thing, right? We were super skeptical about Ice River. No, I didn't believe it at all. I thought it was complete bullshit. And Greater Good Mining is actually in the chat, or he was in the chat. That dude made a killing off of buying his first, like, what was it, a KS2 maybe? I think that's what he bought. Maybe a KS1. I don't know, but I know he made a freaking killing. So I don't know. It was worth the gamble for him, but sometimes, you know what, there is companies that don't go through. So I know big red flag number one for a lot of people was their whole bulldozer thing. I think that's what it was called. It was like their first miner. We did ask about that. They said something about it being like it wasn't as condensed as they wanted it, and by the time the L7s came out, it was kind of pointless to put those whatever they were, bulldozers out. So I don't even know what the specs on that thing was, to be honest, but we could always ask that during the live stream. So obviously I want you guys to get questions in. That is going to be this afternoon, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I will get to as many as we can for the time that we have. We'll probably do it for like an hour or so, but I don't want to take too much of their time. I know it's like 8 p.m. over where they are. So let's see. Let me see. What? You aren't a real miner unless you hold a grudge against ETH, says Max Voltage. Listen, ETH did... I can't complain. Dude, ETH... When ETH was mineable, okay, I mean, I feel like I played it smart. I bought, you know, my first couple rigs, and then as they paid themselves off mining Ethereum, I would purchase another rig or another couple cards or vice versa, like just something that would contribute to my mining addiction, right? So Ethereum paid off all of my stuff, and I still hold a decent amount of Ethereum, at least in my opinion. So I don't know. I can't really be mad at it. I know it sucks. It does suck. I do miss it. I wish it would come back to, you know, proof of work, but unfortunately, that's probably not going to happen. Let's see. Blade servers are OP. Dude, yeah, I honestly, they would be absolutely insane if that came to fruition. I don't think the Hashblade has been made yet. It seems people think it's already made or something. Yeah, no, it's not. It's not. So the factory that they're going to get the chips from what I understand, there's a waiting line, and they're in that line waiting to get the I don't know, approval to make all these chips. And obviously I would assume like it takes a lot of freaking money and time and all this other shit to get into those facilities, but I don't know. I'm just talking out of my ass at this point. That's pretty much what I gather from that whole conversation we had. But again, that's why I'm having them on live. It's going to be me, Geek of All Trades, and 2 of the devs. And we're going to just sit down and ask all the questions you guys want to know, all the important questions that we think are important. And then we'll get to the obviously live chat just to kind of get everything out in the open so you guys know. And Geek of All Trades is actually going to be having a big video, like a sit down video with all of us. Myself, Mr. Max Voltage is actually going to be there, and the 2 devs, and he's going to be editing that and posting it in the next day or so. So I'll reference that video at some point. Let's see. It's still a year to 13 months before you'd get one. That's a very long time. Yeah, no, it is. It is 100%. So like he said third to fourth, third to fourth quarter of next year, which would be second half of next year, to like get one of these units. So I don't know. And you know what? I'm going to ask, I want to know the whole refund situation. If Locotech doesn't come to fruition or something happens, kind of like the bulldozer thing, right? Or it can't be done. Like, is everybody going to be getting their money back from these pre-orders? Like, how's that going to go? So that's one of the questions we're going to ask, obviously. I don't want people to feel like they're going to get freaking burnt out of money, which is, you know, obviously terrible. We don't want to see that happen. But again, I don't work for these guys. I just want to get all the facts. So back when you started, you were selling to buy more hardware. Yes, I was, Steven Cicero. I sold a lot to buy a lot of hardware, and I actually bought, so when I got my Octominers, I purchased those with crypto because it was just easy, just Ethereum right over, you know what I mean? Yeah, I literally sold to purchase more and build up. That's why I have so many GPUs over, you know, at Terra. That's why. Let's see, blades mean you can't expand. Good luck adding a hashboard to an S19. That's a good point. It's a very good point, Jason. And you know what I was thinking too? How cool. So where is it? Yeah, it's on my board up there. I can't take it down, but you know that B250 mining expert motherboard that has like 19 slots? I was wondering if you would be able to load it up with 19 of those script miners. You know what I mean? I wonder, because you have to have mining specific cards. And technically, I guess they'd be mining specific, right? Am I wrong? You guys let me know what you think about that. What's your plan for all your GPUs at Terra over the next 6 months? Damn, my friggin' wife is grilling me in the chat. Just wants me to turn my shit on. I want something to be profitable. All right, so I know Dynex is pretty good, right? When it comes to mining, it's pretty profitable, or it was. I don't know if it's so much as now. What's the price of Dynex actually? Let's see. Let me see. Dynex. Let me see. There we go. Dynex price is at 87 cents. What's the all-time high? $1.20? Wow, $1.31. Holy shit. That went real high. Let's check out the chart here, actually. Max chart. Dynex has had continuous growth. This is kind of like Caspa, to be honest. Oh, and if you guys look at that, it's kind of like a... Man, if I could draw a line on this. Would this be the pole? And then it would just be making a giant flag. Looks like it. Right? Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Are we going to see another pop off on Dynex? That'd be kind of crazy. So my plan is to eventually turn back on and start mining Dynex. But again, it really comes down to, like, I don't want to be the guy that's selling everything to, or whatever. Yeah, just mining to sell everything to pay the electric bill. Does that make sense? That's kind of what I was getting at. It doesn't make sense to me to just mine, or continue to mine, and then have to sell it all to pay the electric bill. You know what I mean? As you know, YouTube views down, revenue down, like totally transparent with you guys. Like, I don't make shit off YouTube. It's just, I like doing this. It's fun. And I'm home all day with the kids anyways. So why not? So it's like, I'm not doing this for the money, right? But money back when the bull run was around, when it comes to ads and stuff, it's a lot more. It's a lot greater. So like right now, I don't have that disposable income that I could just take from YouTube and pay my electric bill with, right? It's like I would have to sell all the coin that I mined and then pay the electric bill. It just makes no sense. It's kind of like put miles on your car when you don't need to put miles on your car. Do you know what I mean? That's how I feel about running my GPUs when I just don't need to run them. Let's see. Will you sell then in the bull run or mine? Actually, you know what? That's a funny question. So the selling, when it comes to selling my graphics cards, my plan is to sell them in the case, like just the whole thing over at Terra, where it is, like just transfer it right to your farm. and you guys can like buy the whole case. I will do that eventually, but it's again, it really depends what I can get per card, and it depends what's mineable. If something is like really popping off, like if Dynex really does come to fruition where it's like, you know, gets into the top 100 coins and this market cap goes crazy and a lot of people are into it, you know what, I'll probably keep my cards and I'll just hold it all the way down. But I'm hoping that I'll be able to sell in the bull run and then, you know, rebuy again next time. What's the rate at the hosting facility? At Terra, if I'm not mistaken, I think, don't quote me, I think it's 11 cents. I think it's 11 cents for GPUs, but they don't do open airframes. They only host server cases. So you guys got to keep that in mind. It's kind of like, it's easy for them. They just throw it on a shelf, plug it in. You know what I mean? And I totally, they're one of the only companies that will take GPUs. So I totally agree with them not taking open airframes and just taking server cases, right? It makes total sense. Let's see, approximately 3.5 hours ago, my whole farm restarted and Dynex hash rate cut in half. Chuck, I don't know if you saw this. You must have seen this. So I don't know. Panda was live, actually. He had a huge title, clickbaited everybody. We had 300 people in there. It said, don't mind Dynex. And I was like, wait, what's wrong with Dynex? I was like all concerned. And then he was like, it's actually SRB Miner. SRB Miner was doing some shady ish in the background where they were actually bumping the hash rate and skimming off the top, I guess. That's basic how I can explain it. That's it. There is nothing technical about what I know about what was going on. The Serpent has a video with Yeti and they kind of explained it a bit. It was late last night. I didn't get to watch the whole thing, but SRB Miner is the culprit. So don't use SRB Miner. The guy's shady as shit. It's messed up. So change your miner if you're going to mine Dynex. Let's see. Last night, Dynex nerfed SRB. Okay, perfect. That's basically it. Perfect. Thank you, Serpent. Yeah, so Serpent's here. Serpent's here in the chat. And actually, you know what? Hold on. I'm glad Serpent just reminded me. By seeing him in the chat, I need to see if Crypto Mikkel is going live after this. I don't see it. I don't see Crypto Mikkel. Oh wait, you know what? Let me refresh. Let me refresh this page. Hold on. Bear with me. I got to redirect you guys to Crypto Mikkel because I think he's going to be going live after this. And if he's not, I know Serpent will be live at 11 Eastern Standard Time, so about an hour and 15 minutes. Yeah, I don't see Crypto Mikkel. I don't see him live, but either way, I'll drop a link in the chat as soon as I see him live, if I see him live. All right, cannot use anything else. Dynex disabled SAT calculations. Not sure if it was just for SRB. I think it was for the whole network. Interesting. LMAO, scroll up, son of a panda's question. Let me see. What's your wife's plan for all your GPUs at Terra over the next 6 months? What's my wife's plan for all of my GPUs? Nothing. What do you mean? Why? I don't know. I don't know. She's always pushing me to like turn them on, but I can't. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. But yeah, I guess, you know what? Maybe I'll just take her decision over what to do with them shortly. Mikkel may not be going live today. His kid has a game this morning. He's not sure if he'll be back in time. Oh, I got you. Okay, sounds good, Crypto Mikkel. Thank you. Yeah, I didn't know. All right, so I guess Crypto Mikkel might not be on, but Mr. Serpent will be on, I believe, at 11 or so. All right, guys, I gotta get out of here. Actually, I have to go over to Mr. Geek of All Trades. We're gonna be doing a video again with the Locotech devs. Don't forget, live stream this afternoon, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Locotech devs, ask your questions. I want to get their answers. Feel free to ask the same questions you've already asked. All the answers you already know. Feel free to ask them again. Maybe trip them up. I don't know. Feel free to do what you want. But anyways, guys, have a good day. Enjoy your Saturday. I'll catch you guys later on this afternoon and tonight for Mr. Mining Saturday Night Live. Have a good one. Peace out.